What's up, everyone? Mr. NoobTube Gamer. Today we're playing Call of Duty World at War in 2024, 16 years later. It's been a very long time since I played this game last, and it was great to come back because, for a while the game had a problem where you couldn't connect to any matches. Like, the matchmaking was very broken, and you were just sitting in the lobby for sometimes 15, 20, 30 plus minutes and would never connect to a match because it had something to do with the backwards compatibility, breaking the matchmaking system for the older COD titles on 360. But last year in 2023, Microsoft actually fixed that. So matchmaking works perfectly fine now in World at War. But if you are interested in playing this game in 2024, I will advise you, like I have with pretty much all the other classic Call of Duty games, you should only play the Xbox version of World at War and not the PS3 or PC versions. They are not worth playing in 2024. Well, there's nothing necessarily wrong with the PS3 version, but it has a lot less people playing than on Xbox, and you'll have a much harder time finding a match. And on PC, it's just a fucking disgrace. It's not World at War. It has like 40-player fucking servers that it's ridiculous. Like, it's not the original vanilla experience, and it's much worse than... I think I'd rather play Modern Warfare 3 2023 than World at War on PC. That's how much I hate the PC version of World at War. Unless we're talking about zombies, but we're not talking about zombies today. But yeah, on Xbox, you have a pretty healthy player base, lots of players in 2024, and it's just great to see. This is the best World War II first-person shooter I have ever played in my life. There definitely are better campaigns than World at War, but as far as online multiplayer, there is no World War II game that even comes close to World at War, in my opinion. With most of the modern World War II games, at least the AAA ones, being very questionable with their design choices, like Battlefield 5 having the women with the robot arms, which was, to be fair, that was only in the trailer, but the immersion just wasn't there. It didn't feel like you were in World War II. And same thing when you go to Call of Duty World War II and Call of Duty Vanguard, which were the two more recent World War II games. They also don't really feel like World War II, but World at War definitely does. Very immersive. You don't have Snoop Dogg running around, so that alone makes it better than Vanguard. And you don't have laser weapons, too, that feel like Advanced Warfare and not World War II. And also no skill-based matchmaking, which automatically makes it a better game than any Call of Duty game released since Modern Warfare 2019. I just love everything about World at War, from the different weapons that the game has to the map design, which sometimes it feels like the maps are a little bit too big. Like, they're definitely not designed for 6v6. They're mostly for ground war. Like, the map in this gameplay was definitely meant more for 9v9 than 6v6. So you do have a little bit of discrepancy when it comes to certain maps. They play better in certain situations, but even in a map like this in World at War is a lot more fun than like Call of Duty Ghosts, where you have a lot of big maps in that game, Stonehaven and all these maps that are just way too big, and most of the time you're just running around trying to find enemies, which, to be fair, a lot of that happens in this gameplay, but the maps are just a lot more interesting. It's Treyarch, so they actually know how to design good and interesting maps, but I would say that's like the one big flaw that World at War has, that some of them, yeah, they're a little bit too big. The other problem that World at War has, especially in 2024, because a lot of people are trying to play the game, right, but they don't want to pay however much money for all the DLC packs, which from what I remember is like an extra $20, $30 to buy them. So you'd be spending, like, especially if you're a new player, $40 to $50 on a 16-year-old game. The vast majority of people are not willing to do that unless you just have a shit ton of money to throw around and you don't care. But 95% of people aren't going to purchase the DLC. The problem is with that is that the matchmaking in World at War works very differently than most Call of Duty games with map packs. Like, for example, in Modern Warfare 2, which came out the year after, they had it where the matchmaking was separated between people who had the DLC and people who didn't, which is why back then you were always advised not to just purchase one DLC or another DLC. Like, you had to have all of them because you would be matched up with the people who have the exact same DLC that you got. So if you only purchased one map pack, you would only be matched up against people who only had that one map pack as well, and you would not be able to find anyone as a result. So that's just something you need to keep in mind if you're looking to buy DLC with these Call of Duty games. World at War did it different, though, where it didn't matter whether you had the DLC or not. Everybody was matched up together, regardless. So what would happen if a DLC map came up in rotation and the match started and the DLC map was chosen as the map that was to be played, then anybody who did not purchase the DLC would always get kicked out of the game. So you could have a full 12-player lobby, and you could end up with like 8 or 7 players when the match starts, because all the people who didn't purchase the map packs would get removed from the lobby. So that's always caused a lot of problems over the years when you're trying to find a game, because there are a lot of people who don't want to buy the map packs, so a lot of the player base is being cut off from each other. It's obviously not going to age as well as other games in the Call of Duty series. It is one of the older titles, so the movement's going to feel a little bit stiff. The gunplay is going to feel a little bit dated, and obviously graphically it's not that good looking anymore, but I don't really care about all those things. I guess because I grew up during that time period, I have a different perspective, but maybe if you weren't born yet, or if you're very young and you're used to like PS4, PS5 graphics, you're going to look at this and be like, ugh, I don't want to play this. Plus, the customization options are very limited because it's pretty much a World War II version of Call of Duty 4. It has the same balancing, you know, with the Juggernaut and stopping power, and most of the perks and most of the things that made Call of Duty 4 what it was is pretty much World at War, just with a World War II coat of paint, pretty much. So maybe if you are a younger person that didn't grow up during World at War, but you played Modern Warfare Remastered from 2016, then the game might be a little bit familiar to you, actually. I still think it's a really fun game. I mean, I was playing Battlefield 1942 the other day, which is from 2002, and I was 4 years old during that point, so it's not like I grew up with that game, and I still have fun with it. So if you come in with an open mind with a lot of these older titles, you'll be very surprised with how much you can actually enjoy it. And there are very few Call of Duty experiences that are more satisfying than calling in the attack dogs and then raining down hell on the enemies. And also driving a tank around the whole map and just blowing up every motherfucker you see. One of the few Call of Duty games with drivable vehicles, at least before we had Warzone and Ground War and all that stuff in the newer games. And if you're a Call of Duty player, then this is one of the games that you have to experience for yourself, and you'll love every second of it, I think. That's assuming you're willing to pay for all the DLC packs, because that is a necessary thing in order to really experience the multiplayer in 2024, sadly. But I'm pretty sure within the next year or so, you're going to have all the games and all the map packs available with Game Pass, so that's going to probably negate that problem and have a lot more people interested in this game, because otherwise it still plays great. There's no hackers or cheaters to speak of, really. It's not much of a problem like it used to be back in the day. I don't really run into them anymore. So yeah, that's World at War in 2024. Let me know if you still play this game 16 years later, and how would you rank it among all the Call of Duty games and all the World War II games that we've had over the years? Let me know in the comments down below.